Welcome back to the Arbitrage Run show with your host Donkey Teeth and Kevin, the star of the show from Arbitrage Racing.
I think you're the star now. You got the Pulse celebrity, so I might be taking a back seat. I'm now Robin to your Batman.
No, the smart people never want want the limelight. So that's why they say nobody that wants to be president ever should be president, right?
That's fair. That's fair. No comment.
Um, So yeah, we got a pretty good show on tap here. I think we're going to talk about the Zombie Arbitrage Maiden round 2 that's coming up. Zab, I'm calling it Zab. I don't know. We'll see if that sticks. Does Zab 2 sound good?
I think Zab might be like confused with the boxer and former Zedder.
Crap. We
Yeah.
need a new name then.
I know. Well, we'll workshop it.
Yeah, we just call it the Zombie. I don't know. He keeps trying to work arbitrage in there. I don't know if it's for like marketing purposes, to boost it up with the arbitrage brand. But yeah, it's coming. Round 2 is coming, and it feels like short notice, because Zed, they kind of hinted. I feel like they actually like straight up said that it was going to be this week, but it was never really confirmed. And I think they weren't positive because they did the community maiden thing, and they wanted to make sure that they had everything programmed right, so it actually worked when they launched it, I guess. So we only got a few days notice on this maiden, but it's up there on the Zombie site, and I guess I can present my screen here and show we've got it's basically going to be the exact same format. I shouldn't say basically, it is the exact same format, right?
Yeah, I mean, we tried to gauge, I guess, some feedback, and most people just wanted to run it back and didn't have a ton of changes they would make. I think there are some like complexity changes we could ramp up and make it a little more complex. That might be for a future iteration of this. But yeah, for this one, I think it was fairly well received. And yeah, let's run it back. It was fun.
It was. I think majority of people enjoyed it. Crypto Sonar asked if we could do like something in class too, which I mean, I get it. Like if you breed a C6 horse, you feel like you don't have a shot, or even like C5. Maybe you got a shot with a C5 cross pacer. Like you might be able to win that overlaid bracket. But our response is kind of like we really want to keep this simple because it already is like pretty confusing, as simple as we made it, right?
Yeah, and like I think the actual ZED Maiden does that, right? Like that is how they base it. So you get some there, and it's not like when you join this, you know what level or what class you're just going to land into. So I personally like keeping it kind of peer to peer in terms of separating by breed type because the range of outcomes is fairly similar once you control for that aspect. And then yeah, maybe you roll a bad class here, which hurts you there, but if you roll like a level 100, then you're going to reap the benefits in the ZED side of the tournament.
Yeah, I think this really did work out. I don't know that it'll work out as well as it did every time. I mean, I'm sure it won't. I think on average, a legendary probably will win the grand final. But we had a class 3 exclusive sprinter win the grand final and take home $1,700. So, and then we had as we kind of planned it out, right? One of the lower breed types took 12th and took home what was like $480 or something for that 12th place prize that we laid out. I guess I got the numbers here I can pull up. 12th place. No, it ended up being 400 something. I thought. I don't know if these numbers are right. I thought it was 400 something.
I think it was 400 was like their total winning, maybe because they had to win.
Oh, yeah, they had to win. Yeah, okay. So yeah, it was 212 to take home that. But yes, they would have won the elite mid here. That's what it was. So yeah, I think it worked out really well. That was like a class 4 elite or something that took home 12. The lower breed types don't have a very good chance in the grand final, right? It feels like a 6-horse race between the exclusives and the legendaries, at least for the win. Like I wouldn't be shocked if an elite steals a podium. I would be very surprised if a cross stole a podium in a 3-race grand final, right?
Yeah, that'd be shocking. It would. I mean, yeah, that's probably like a 1% outcome.
Yeah, but that's kind of the whole point of the system that we created, where these ended up being overlaid. We'll see if they are again, but there's definitely some game theory. Like it felt like elites were kind of the dumb money in this one, but that could shift in round 2 as people kind of adjust. So Yeah, I liked how it played out. I think that there's some good intricacies here.
Yeah, I agree. And like, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it gets more efficient or if it stays where like there is some spots to avoid and some spots to capitalize on. I'll be curious to see how that changes from last one to this one.
So we had 457 entrants. Hopefully, we can match that or surpass it. We'll see. You know, it is short notice, but most of the people enter like the day of or after. Anyway, I guess we should clarify. Some people didn't realize you can enter after the ZED Maiden starts. So you can enter all the way up until the ZED Maiden finishes, right? And those finals races, like whenever the ZED Maiden closes. So 48 hours after what is it, midnight UTC on Monday. So it'd be midnight UTC Wednesday, pretty much. You can enter up until then. As long as your horse is not raced. That is the other clarification. You can't race your horse and then decide.
Yep, exactly. So I don't know. I'll set the official over under at 395 this time. I think it'll drop a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, you were right on the money last time. So but there's 48 hours again, so I wouldn't be surprised if it gets bumped up. Plus, a lot of people didn't know about it.
Yep.
Anything else to say on the maiden? So we got the stability variance maiden. That doesn't really affect this at all. I guess it could affect entrance if people maybe start targeting the stability more. That should play pretty well in this format, I would think, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some overlap there where if you have a beast in that format, it should play well with some luck. There's always going to be a little more luck in this.
I bred some stability horses yesterday. I started on our breeding. I wanted to get a jump start so we could start showing. I threw everything in the UUU stable again here. So there's currently, I think, 35 horses or something like that. They haven't been priced out. I was waiting on Kevin to price them for me. But I did all the exclusive breeding. We might do, a handful of more exclusives, but pretty much got all exclusives out there. There's a few elites in here too. If you buy any one of these from us, you will again get a free entry into the Zombie Maiden for that horse. So if you buy a legendary, you get that free $40 entry. If you buy an exclusive, you get the free. We did 30, right? 30 for exclusive, and then 15 for elite, and 10 for cross pacer. So we're sticking with those numbers. You get a free entry. You don't need to do anything. We will gather the information and get it over to Zombie, and he'll submit that in, and you can just watch those races run. There is literally nothing you have to do after you're entered, and we'll handle the entry if you buy one of these from us. You also get that those raffle entries, right? We're still doing the raffle entry if you buy one of these for, I think we say 20% of our ZED winnings and 20% of our profit or 25% of our profit from the Zombie Maiden, if we have any.
Yeah, hopefully a little better luck than last time. I think we had a good run on the ZED side of things, but yeah, the Zombie one ate us alive. But it happens.
Yeah, it could have been worse. We had one horse in the ZED Maiden, lots of ice, I think, in class 2. Went to the finals and maybe took second place or something like that. So it made up for it. But yeah, even if we don't have any profits, we will raffle off one of the UUUs that we've got left over. So, try to give people some value back there and create some utility from these breeds while we can.
Yeah, and the other thing I'll mention here, I don't think we're doing a live stream auction on this one. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right, we still need to set up that champions one. I keep meaning to send those over to them. We will.
Let's just do the champions one next time, like kicking off or along with the stream of our next auction, right? Like, or we could have a separate event if you want, but I think you could easily lump it in as a second race.
Okay. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because it would be kind of clunky just to do a live stream just for that one bonus race that probably only 6 people care about. I mean, people would show up because they want to hear you talk, Kevin, but
and they want to gamble, right? That's why they really will show up.
Yeah. So yes, we will also do our live stream for the grand final. I think we ran that. Did we do it Friday or Saturday in the US?
Friday, I believe.
Friday. So we'll probably do that again. That seemed to work out, right?
Yeah. I think it was fine.
We'll check the schedule before officially committing, but it'll probably be
to the wife. Yeah.
And then we, the gambling, play money gambling with horse prizes. We gave away 3 horses to the top 3. So make sure you're following us on Twitch, and you'll get a notification when we go live for that grand final. And we're going to be giving away horses to the people that excel in our play money wagering on the grand final.
There's some sharps who play this. You see some of the same names at the top every time, and you realize they're onto something.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else to say here on the Zombie Arbitrage Maiden?
No, I think you covered it.
Cool. Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to seeing. Oh, you know what? The one other thing I'll say, Kevin, I'm gonna go through and put flags on these horses. If people just want to search for like a stability or a variance one, obviously we're breeding each of these with very specific purpose, so we can put a flag on it if this was intended as a stability breed or a variance breed, and then you can just kind of scroll through and find what you're looking for at the price point you're looking for. All right. So next up, we are going to talk about. Oh, we want to. So did I mention what we're going to talk about? I don't think I did. I started talking about it off the top and then got thrown into this tangent here. So we're going to talk about the breeding 3.2 pretty briefly here. That Facundo and Ryan went over on that third ZED Pulse. Just kind of get your reaction to what was said there, and then we're going to talk about ZED Legends League, which is coming along very well. If you don't make it that, you can skip to that if you're interested in it. We'll have the bookmarks in here too, but we've got a group over there in the Zombie Discord. So if you're not in there yet, I think everybody is that has committed to participating. But if you're not, make sure that you get over there and we'll get you added to that group. And then we will finish up with a review of the ETH Stable, which is going really well. We got some updates. So we got a lot to get to here still, Kevin, but we better dive in on the breeding 3.2 talk. So what was said on the, I guess, what were your takeaways? Because you just watched the third ZED Pulse, so it's kind of fresh in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, they were never going to say it, but I was hoping for more of like a concrete like game plan of like how they're going to tweak things to provide more upside on the 3.0 breeding or 3.1 breeding, whatever you want to call it. The one piece which I focused on, at least, was good to hear somewhat, was with the super breeds. We only had like 24 or 25. I don't know at the time of this. Maybe it's changed. But they said there had not been like a top outcome super breed yet, which I guess gives you a little bit of confidence that maybe there's some more on the top you can get with those upside chances. But like with how rare it is, like how long are we gonna have to wait to get that true beast, right? Like it's 1 in 1,000. And I think you did a good job highlighting, like, yeah, the upside might be there a little bit, but there's also kind of underwhelming super breed outcomes. And with it being so infrequent, we don't even really like notice when there's like the upside. So I think there are some levers they can pull, maybe making them more frequent, making them more frequent for lower Z's. They mentioned potentially there's already higher frequency for gen versus gen, but if it's only dropping it to like 1 out of 750, you're not going to notice. So I think they could do more on those levers. But that did jump out at me. At least there is a little more under the current algo that we can get out of super breeds, because nobody's gotten that lotto on the lotto.
Yeah, you know, I guess a couple takeaways for me, even though I've already kind of given my little kind of, you got to be quick on these ZED Pulses. There's 30 minutes and it's like gone in a second, and I'm going 10 minutes over, and then I feel like I don't want them to, like, if I'm saying 30 minutes and I'm going to 40 every single time, and they got busy schedules and stuff, and then suddenly it's like, you know what, we're not doing these pulses anymore. So I'm really trying to stick to it as best as I can, and I keep going over just like we do on these shows, right? But yeah, it's hard to say everything, and it's hard to get all the information and ask follow-up questions when I'm like trying to keep things moving along. You know, it's like herding cats over here. As much as I appreciate them taking the time, but my takeaway is, like, I just appreciate that they're being transparent. You know, they don't want to come out and say, yeah, we're going to be making breeding changes and it'll, you know, be done at the end of Q2 or end of Q3 or something like that, when they really don't know, you know, and it's not a top priority for them as much as they hear, you know, what we're talking about and gathering that information, and they want to make the game as good as they can, right? Like their resources are limited, and they see the potential for marketing, right? They saw all these new users come in and then just leave, right? Because the game is just too hard to understand. And we see it, we talk about it every day. Like we play this game all the time, and like we have trouble sorting through these leaderboards and figuring out what the hell this tournament is and what we're supposed to be doing, right? And we're like living and breathing this. So, I think they're on the right track there. Uh, of course, we all want progress quicker, and we all want the changes that we think should be made. But at least that they're communicating and being transparent. We saw Chris, the CEO, come out and put a tweet out, which there wasn't a whole lot of information in there either. But at least there's an effort to try to bring down that barrier between the ZED team and the community and start to, play nice together and acknowledge concerns that people have and, be transparent about what's going on internally. And the fact that he said that they got 2 years of runway, even if they don't make a dime, was pretty huge in that thread to me, like, because BG's talking about like, they're going to be done in like 3 months. He's been saying, right?
Right. And I mean, I always, no offense to them, but like, I take what they say with a grain of salt, right? Like we've been fooled or bamboozled so many times before, but it was encouraging. And it's not like you expect Chris to get out there and like provide some really technical roadmap, because quite frankly, like a CEO should not be doing that. They should be giving instilling confidence and like visionary type things, which going dark for the better part of a year does not do any of that. So for me, yeah, like hearing that the conviction at least was still there and making that, I mean, pretty specific comment of like 2 years. Like you didn't have to say that, right? So I'm cautiously optimistic or cautiously encouraged by that. So a step in the right direction, but I don't know, actions speak louder than words for me.
Yeah, let's build on it. But I think what the community wanted more than anything was just to hear that, hey, I'm still alive and care
Yes.
about it,
Yeah.
because a lot of people think that they don't, and I don't think that that's the case. And he's saying
Especially
that
like
it is, yeah.
with like Ebling leaving, like it was like that was something they probably should have said earlier to kind of salvage some of the sentiment, because with that, at least a lot of people took it as like, yep, they're kind of giving up on their invention, right? But hearing that there still is the conviction with the current team, and he truly just wanted to move on to a different passion project, or I don't know, behind the scenes what happened, but hearing the conviction with the current team, I think does help.
Yeah. Anyway, tangent there. Back to the 3.2 breeding talk. Yeah, they really aren't committing to anything. And honestly, I thought it was a little bit underwhelming. Like, okay, we're going to tweak super breeds, but now we're talking like maybe 1 in 400. It doesn't feel like it moves the needle to me relative to what we all are feeling in the community. And I know I have a hard time on the polls too, because I have to find a balance right here of recognizing like what my views are, right? Because people want me to push back a little bit more and stuff, and I do push back a little bit, but I want to make sure that I'm pushing back with broad viewpoints from the community. And there are people that like breeding 3.2 and like the level of super breeds, and so like it's hard to really generalize that like, well, everybody hates this. Majority of people don't like it and want changes, but there's a whole spectrum, right? So I really I guess the biggest takeaway for me was that they're open to community feedback groups on this type of thing, because I think that is absolutely what's necessary when people are feeling super passionate about something like this and don't like the changes that were made. Like, okay, let's get everybody together and see like concrete, like what would speak to everybody, what does everybody want, and do it in a way that is constructive and respectful. So many of the issues out there are like, people have these viewpoints and you get out in social media and they just come across as like complete dickheads with it, right? Nobody wants to hear that. Like they're not going to listen to that. Like if you're just shouting at them, and like there's another way to approach it, and kind of come from a place where people want to listen and work with you. Like one person that I see that does a good job at this on social media is our guy Ringleader. Sharks and Ponies, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I know he doesn't approve of like all the changes that they've made, but he comes across like articulate and rational and grounded, versus like the way of social media. Like I get it, frustration comes. This is like your projecting board for all your frustrations, and you put it out there. You just sound like whiny. It's like the least attractive quality. Nobody wants to hear it. We got to figure out how to communicate in a way that like gets us moving forward,
And I think a lot of the people who've gotten to that point probably feel like they started out a little more cordial, right? And then that they weren't heard. So now they're at the point of like, all right, I'm just going to yell louder because they can't hear me. And then at some point you don't ever even expect them to respond. But like, yeah, I think creating a more civilized feedback group would benefit everyone, right? Because a lot of what people are proposing is really just like a hatred for the current system, and it's like, let's go back to this. But then I would be curious to have that sentiment and then have a conversation with Facundo and the team as to like what are the drawbacks of going back, because I mean they wouldn't just make the change without like understanding that, or at least an idea of like this is better, right? So I want to have like a debate almost of like, all right, here's my recommendation, not just that I hate the current state, but like here's what I would do, and you can have that a lot better on a venue that's not Twitter and 180 characters or whatever.
Yeah, well, I can try to set up a debate if you want.
I'm all for it. I'll moderate. You can get it on that this time.
Are you kidding me? You're the one that wants to debate. I'm the moderator here.
There is a middle ground. Like, I just say, like, give us more upside. And a lot of the issues with breeding now is like also issues with XP, and you're just breeding into a system, especially in class 1, that is constantly increasing the ceiling, and you're not increasing the ceiling of breeding outcomes. So you're kind of just always falling behind just by nature. So I don't know. It's a whole gaming like loop issue in my eyes, not just a breeding issue.
Yeah, I really liked your idea. The easy button fix, I think, is introducing that game mode on a limited basis, right? So it doesn't ruin their whole vision of this XP ecosystem where it's classic mode and unleveled racing, right? And there's whatever, one tournament a month, or every other week there's a one-day tournament. I don't know how that gets funded, but I don't know that anybody cares how it gets funded. Like, I think a lot of people would just play that and pay for it out of their pocket as sit and goes come. And like, there's going to be one big sit and go for unleveled horses every Friday. And hey, maybe it uses more stamina than other races or something as kind of like a penalty, but giving those whales a passive way to play the game, those people that feel like they were rugged by these changes, right? Which I think all of us feel that to a certain degree, but it's, it is what it is, right? This is just they're trying their best, and we're all trying our best here too, right?
Yeah, and I think the ironic piece of that is like you increase breeding value by doing that as well, because suddenly now a super breed who's 565 plays really well again in like a top 3 or top 2 mode against horses that aren't leveled up. Because if you look at like the distribution of 1.0 and 2.0s, like they weren't much higher than like at starting level than the super breeds are. So then you suddenly feel like your breeding outcomes are a little more ceiling, like there's more ceiling to the outcomes, because 565 plays very well against starting levels. It doesn't play at all against 670, 690 leveled up horses.
Yeah. And I think that if you say like, hey, this one sit and go, you're paying, I don't know, 5 stamina, regardless of whether you get past the first round, right? And it feels like a penalty for us to enter RSB into that then, right? So it's not just like, okay, we're, these legend horses, right, that have been eating since day one are coming in here. Like, there's a penalty if you want to play it, because
right,
create that decision.
I mean, with that, like that with aging will work. Like it will work. You're like, you don't, I don't know, not to, I know a huge part of the vision is the XP thing in the XP marketplace, but no leveling works with the aging they have set up. You're going to have these 1.0 broken horses phasing out and not being able to race much. If you like do what you said right there, like a tournament, and you actually make it cost a bunch of stamina to enter, we'll still enter if like the prize pool is there, and then you'll have them not being able to race except like once a month. It's like it does work. Everything they built works in that non-leveling mode. And on top of that, they built these, I think, pretty great game modes where like a top 3 6 gate actually tailors better to a max variance 3.0 horse than a max variance like freak 1.0, right? Because the way they have the distribution of payouts. So like that kind of mode actually tailors more towards the 3.0 types. And if you have a 3.0 max variance super breed, that's going to be your best horse in a top 3 unleveled format. And they would say, well, yeah, if you just get to 700, that's how it's going to play out anyways. But like, people don't always want to play that game. There needs to be multiple avenues for your different types of players.
Yeah, and I mean, we should be clear here, at least from my point of view. I actually, and people don't believe this, right? Out on social media, they'll like challenge you, but I actually do like the vision of this XP economy. It creates all these different levers and stuff if it can be executed successfully. And that's the huge if, right? Like right now, there is major concerns about people coming in and understanding how all of this works. It is complex, like everything here is like, well, how are you going to buy? How do I buy ZED token, right? Like it just funding your wallet right now as it is difficult with, figuring out how to buy Ethereum and stuff like that. So lowering all those barriers, I think, is the key. But I think if they're able to do that and make the UI UX a lot simpler and more intuitive, it could really work. It could be fantastic. And the issue with having both of those game modes available all the time is that it would kill that vision, right? And it hasn't even been given a chance because of all these other issues, right? Like the how slow everything has been to roll out piecemeal, right? Like we haven't given it a chance yet. People have judged it before even seeing it, which, hey, I mean, that's fair to a certain degree with ZED, right?
Yeah, I think it was Galactic made like a tongue-in-cheek comment, but it was actually had some truth to it, where like if they had just like paused the game for 6 months or whatever, I think he said 12, but like a period of time, like we would feel like we're in a better spot than like the last 6 months of things just like dragging and like here we are, right? So I'm not saying they should do that, but a lot of times, like I feel like a lot of their bandwidth is currently being operated on just keeping the ship afloat and all the like problems that are popping up on the daily. I mean, there's a reason why games like don't always just go in beta in perpetuity, right? They'll have like, we'll have this, and then we'll release a new game in 12 months from now. So that, I don't know. I'm not running the business, but that would have been an option in terms of maximizing your already depleted resources.
Yeah. Anyway, we got a pretty big tangent there. We weren't intending to have that much of a discussion on this 3.2, but that happens. We're very passionate about ZED here on the Arbitrage Run show. Let's move on, Kevin. So we're going to talk about the Legends League now, and then one ETH Stable will be the last segment here. We'll try to do about 10 minutes on each. We'll see how this goes. But Legends League, yeah, it's coming along great. Let me get the sheet. I got a sheet of all the horses and stables and kind of stats that we can kind of run through on who's going to be participating here. But we got 36. It looks like we're going to have 36 entrants in the sprint funnel, 30 in the mid, and 30 in the marathon. Registration is now open over on the Zombie site. If you go to tournaments, right? You can register there. I think we only need a handful more that have committed to register in each funnel. I guess if you are getting FOMO and want to participate in the mid or marathon funnel, we can bump it up to 36, but right now it's looking like 30 is going to be the number. So if you're watching and you've been on the fence and you're thinking about it, reach out to us and we'll see if more people do. But registration is open there. Again, come over to the everybody should join the Zombie Discord. First of all, there's a general Discord. We're kind of getting it sparked up now. Talking about these zombie events, the Maiden and the Legends League, and he's got some other stuff that he's planning over there too. But then there's a Legends League group that is kind of gated for people that are participating in it for our communications on that, and make sure everybody's joining and stuff like that. But anyway, we're targeting, since the Maiden is next week and we got the Zombie Maiden next week, we're going to target the week after that, which is going to be June 26th for the sometime during that week for the first week of the league. The way that it's working, we're going to have 6 gate races, and they're going to be seeded each week. I think we're going to start out by seeding, at least this was my idea, seeding horses based on current level. And so the top 6 current level will face off in Heat 1 that first week, then the next 6 in Heat 2, all the way on down to the 6 lowest level in that final heat. Scoring is going to be done based on the ZED top 3 6 gate scoring, which I think I want to say is like, you know better than me, 10 for first, 7 for second, 5 for third type of thing.
Yep. And it's on I think it's on the site. We have it labeled, but that's the general idea. I think it's a good balanced approach to not just, it rewards winning, but not like overpowering the U-shapers.
Yeah, it's not up on the site yet. Zombie's going to get that, but he's in Amsterdam right now, so we'll come a little slack.
Of life. Maybe by the time this posts, it'll be up there.
Yeah, hopefully. We're still ironing out some of the details on how the playoffs are going to work. Some of the people participating don't want a grand final. Zombie's pretty passionate about having a grand final and crowning a winner. I think the balance that I'm seeing this kind of go towards is probably have most of the money go towards the actual prize money, right? Go towards the funnel winners, the funnel champions, and then have the grand final more for prestige. I don't know if it's possible, but it'd be awesome if we could get a Zed to create a skin for the Legends League and promote it that way, and then just have the Legends League champion skin as the prize for that for prestige.
Wow, that'd be sick. Well, you should sneak that into the next pulse and just see if you can plant some seeds. They've got what 5-6 weeks to do it.
Right. Let's go. And maybe if the community pushes for it too.
I know some of the Twitter artists that this community has can pop that out in like a day. So I don't know. It may not be the same to get integrated in the game, but it feels doable in 6 weeks.
Yeah, they've been pretty stingy with those skins. I know everybody has tried to get them for their events, so probably a pipe dream, but we'll try. Anyway, here's the sprint horses. You can pause and take a look at who we got in here, but the best of the best in the sprint. You got the two fools putting in a 483. They don't give a shit.
Name checks out.
And they also put in a 579. Down here, you can see the stats. I kind of tabulated. 644 is the average level of these 36. Actually, it's 35 right now. I'm not sure who the final horse is going to be, but somebody dropped out. And I think Southern said that he'd always be willing to put in an extra horse or take one out if needed. Southern's been super supportive of getting this off the ground, and even said that he'd be willing to donate some prizes and stuff like that. And a bunch of people in the community have. So we want to, again, create that viewership and have contests going to make it entertaining for all of you people that aren't participating in the league to watch and be invested in it and want to show up each week and, do some play wagering on it, whatever that looks like. Maybe bet on ZBet, talking to Rao about getting that set up for week 1 right now. And, the people participating are being very generous to, donate horses and stuff like that for prizes to get that stuff off the ground.
Yeah, the engagement's been top notch. Even like as detailed as like getting everybody in the same Discord, right? That was so smooth, which I guess makes sense, right? Most of the people competing in this are ones who have also been like super committed to the game and leveling up their horses. So it makes sense that these would be the most engaged people. But yeah, been great to see. Kind of restores your faith in the community.
Mid, we've got an average level of 655. I had the unique stables here. I must have hid that column because there was something else. I don't know. We had probably 15 to 20 unique stables in each funnel. I actually didn't count how many total stables we have, but it's got to be close to like 25 unique stables participating. Pretty good turnout, I think.
Yeah, that's what I would guess too.
And then marathon average horse level is 641. Interesting that the average horse level in mid is higher than marathon. I think that's probably the result of those 3.0 XP giveaways, right?
I think that, and I think mids pop off quite a bit because you don't have like marathon's hard to level because there's not that many marathon races that pop off.
Yeah, good point. So again, probably 2 weeks out on that first week of races. The way that it's going to work, we're going to have 3 races. I think probably 1 at each distance makes sense, right? In your funnel.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. And you'll just have the same pool of
same heat.
Yeah, the same heat.
6 horses each week. Right?
Yeah. Yep. And then I think there'll be 5 heats or 6 heats depending on your funnel.
Right. And so this is what I'm thinking. Again, we haven't officially put this etched in stone. I'm thinking that we just have 1 winner each week to kind of make the prizes bigger. So 1 winner in each funnel each week. Does that make sense?
So just the top point getter. I mean, even though there are distinct heats, your top point getter of whoever plays best against their competition wins it for that funnel that week.
Yeah, so there'll be 3 winners each week. And again, we're open to feedback from all the people in the league on how they think that this should work. But that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. And then again, the way that we've said this before, it's going to be seeded. So after week 1, we're going to have the standings, right? From 1 down to 30 or 36 in each funnel. And your heat will again then be broken up instead of by your horse level in week 2, it'll be based on where you're at in the standings. So the top 6. So if you had the lowest level horse in the competition. You won your heat. Maybe you won the prize for that week. Week 2, you're going to be going against the highest level horses, and you're probably going to get smacked back down. But that's going to be kind of the ebb and flow of the contest, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like an elo. Like, it's not the exact formula, but that's the idea. The better you do against your peers, you go up to another tier, and then you just kind of find your equilibrium. Only 3 weeks, so there is possibility you can just run the table at the lower level. But that's the inspiration.
And then, so yes, so there's going to be 3 weeks of the regular season. So each horse will have 9 races, and then what we're leaning towards, right, is the top 4 from each funnel, then advancing on to this grand final. And whether we want to do probably like 1 race at each distance for that grand final for prestige.
Something like a big 9 race grand final.
Yeah, we could do. Yeah, we could do all 9. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You have something else?
Nope, that was it.
I think that there should also be a relegation race. I think that maybe we just take the bottom 6 and do. I don't think it should just be like a 1 race and the bottom 2 from those bottom 6 get relegated. I think we should have a point system, maybe like a boosted point system for this relegation race, and give those bottom 2 horses in each funnel a chance to jump those other horses. So everybody's got like a fighting chance in that relegation race. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for that. I think we can think through the details on that. Would you picture like I don't know, the opposite of a grand final, but the same like format for the relegation, like a 3 race format, and the lowest points of that goes down?
3 races or 1 race. I don't think we should make like a huge spectacle of the relegation race, right? Like, I don't think it needs to be a grand final. Like, I think it could just be 1 race and have boosted point totals just to give those horses that are on the bottom 2 a fighting chance to get out of the cellar one last time.
I feel like English soccer, sometimes that's the best viewing, when you have 2 teams fighting for their lives. It's just, I don't know, it's interesting. So I agree, though.
We can make a grand final of it, sure.
Why
Maybe
not,
it's 9 races for the actual grand final, and then 3 for the
3, right?
Yeah, something like that. Well, let's see if everybody likes that idea. Anything else that you want to mention here on the Legends League?
No, I think we covered it. We hit your 10-minute quota and exceeded it.
Yeah, we did pretty well. I got to go to the dentist after this, so I'm really drawing it out here.
And no wonder you're stalling. I'd be doing the same
thing. Okay, last topic here is 1 ETH Stable. Yeah, man, it's going well. Let me pull it up. So we've made a couple purchases. Did we talk? I don't think we talked about Code Blonde last time we reviewed. Code Blonde is a class 3 mid. I'm pretty much just running it at 1,800 right now in the top 3s, and it's doing pretty well. We bought it for 0.05 like 10 days ago, and it's currently at 0.033 in profit. So pretty good running there.
Yeah, that's good ROI in a little over a week.
I just bought this one from PK in his fire sale. It was $17. It was one of the 0.01 horses. It's a pretty low level class 3 horse. It's got some nice variants. This is our only 1.0 horse, actually. This is the sole 1.0 horse in this stable. It was just so cheap. I figured, why not throw a dart? I've run it in a handful of those 301 to 380 double up races. Double up is not this horse's format. I'm just trying to level it up a little bit as I think about it and go through. So just a total flyer for 0.01 is kind of a whatever. And then I just bought this one last night. I couldn't fall asleep. And so, of course, I go over and start scrolling through ZSim and looking at horses for sale and stuff. And I came across Kelsey, who has pretty solid variants. It seems to be 1,600, 1,800, 2,000. I think 1,800 is the sweet spot, but it can probably run at 2,000. It's like a 592. So I messaged you about it, and I was going to wait for you to respond. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy it. It seemed like a no brainer to me because it's got another 9 levels until it gets out of that 551 to 600 range. It's got really nice variants. It should do really well in that time frame. And then my thesis is they have to figure out how to bring down that wall at 601. Like, the game doesn't work if you get to 601 and your horse is just dead, right? So hopefully by the time this Kelsey horse hits 601, they have something figured out there.
Yeah, I like the logic. I mean, it's probably, you could easily see it if it just has some luck making that 0.1 back pretty quick, having 9 levels of runway to 600. And then I think, pure speculation, at some point they'll have that 601 to either 625 or 650 band, you would think, and then probably have some tournaments to go along with it. So it's almost like we can take our time getting to 600, make sure to run it like with overlay like tournaments right now. I think there's a 551 to 600 tournament happening. So all of that will help drive that EV up. And yeah, it doesn't take long to get to 0.1.
So we're sitting at 1.1 in total racing profit. I tweeted this out. We reinvested quite a bit of that profit. We're at like 1.53 is our buy-in now. We started out with a little bit over 1 ETH on the ETH Stable. So I guess it's worth noting that Ethereum is down. So we haven't been like converting to USDC or anything like that. So we're still about $900 away from paying off all of our purchases, right? But this is kind of the compounding nature. And I think how you built Arbitrage, right? It's like, if you see a good buy, you just keep churning and keep putting it back in. And eventually those profits start to compound, right? And instead of making half an Ethereum a month, you're making 1.5 or something like that, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly it. And also like good for the economy when you're reinvesting and not taking out of the game. So yeah, I think that's similar inspiration as to what I did a couple years ago, starting out Arbitrage. And I like looking at column H too, because like you can see not everything we've bought, at least at this point, is a winner. Some due to the changes in the game, but really all it takes is just a couple home runs that can just completely turn your stable into profitability, right? So like looking at like 2 shadows for Sarah in particular, I think one of the more expensive buys, I think, are what,
0.16.
Yeah. But like the ROI there in a month and a half is just absurd, right? I mean, we've quadrupled what we paid, and that's not even really with much tournament luck. That's almost all paid racing, just sitting at the top of class 2. So it doesn't take a ton. Like we can ride the coattails of 2 or 3 great purchases that happen to get some good positive variance on the track, and that'll make up for a few bad purchases, as long as you're not like spending 50% of your budget, right, on a single horse.
Right, kind of a disciplined bankroll management. What you're talking about here, Kevin, are you familiar with Pareto's principle?
I am not familiar with Pareto, but I probably am familiar with
the 80-20, the 80-20 principle. Yeah, that's Pareto's principle. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. And I think when you can kind of keep that in mind. So the 80-20 principle is basically that 80% of results come from 20% of like actions. So there's some magic you can see it all over in the world once you start to look for it. And like, I think investing, it's really easy to see, right? Like if you have a method and you just can continue to shoot, like a lot of your investments, if you're like trading or something, right? You're gonna have a loser, and you try to keep those losses small, right? Just to have those couple big winners that make your year. And if you look at everything in your life, like maybe even your day-to-day job, right? It's like, there's these periods, these like 20% periods where you're super productive and you get done 80% of your work that you're going to get done in a day. Or there's this 20% period in your week, which is maybe just one day of the week where you get 80% of your work done. And if you start to look, I actually noticed this. One of my friends brought it up to me in fantasy baseball. I used to be huge into fantasy baseball. And because the season is so long, like the law of large numbers, you start to see this 80-20 principle play out. And so it's like a 6-month baseball season, right? And you'll see baseball players, they go on these hot streaks and they'll hit, 20 home runs in like a 6-week period or something like that. And they put up this massive percentage of their statistics in this short period of time. And so if you start to look for that, then you can kind of play the game a little more effectively. And like, well, this hot streak isn't going to last forever, right? I know that they're going to put up a lot of their numbers in the short period of time. It happens over and over and over again, and you can kind of buy, sell, and buy high and sell low. So we see that here in ZED. I'm sure you saw it when you were building Arbitrage. You just have that one hit, that one princess of power, right? That just boosts your stable up. That's the 20% outcome, that the 20% of actions that creates that 80% of your results. And then if you identify how you did that, right, and continue to kind of repeat that 20% and get rid of this 80% that we're just kind of wasting in life, then it scales really well and compounds, right? And I think that that's what you saw when you were building Arbitrage from the start, right?
Yeah. Shout out LBJ Goat for that.
Was the first one, yeah.
Yeah, that was the first big one. So yeah, exactly right.
Yeah. So, and if you keep this in mind, it can kind of change your perspective on life, right? It can kind of make you more patient, right? Recognizing like sometimes you feel like you're spinning your wheels in life, right? It's like I'm doing all this and working so hard and nothing's happening, right? But if you have this perspective of like, I just got to get to that 20%, like I just got to keep going and eventually something's going to click and I'm going to hit that 20% and things are going to change, and I think that perspective really helps for me anyway, be more patient and, see the forest for the trees.
Oh, well, did not expect to get this deep on our Arbitrage Run show, but
here we are, stable,
getting life advice from the Zen master himself.
Yeah, I think it's time to wrap it up, Kevin. Philosophical talk, but no, yeah. So yes, we have just a couple horses that are really carrying this stable, and I'm really only running 3 horses in this stable right now. There's kind of that ebb and flow where it's like, there was a spot for Dean Sunday morning for a while when there was all the 3.0 stuff. Eventually, Dean hit this wall. Going alone did really well when it had the spot in the under 250 race, 250 races segmentation. Hit that wall, and now it's like, can probably run at neutral EV, but we got so much going on. I'm just focusing on pretty much these 3 horses right now, and I will start running this one too. So I think that that's a good way to kind of look at your stable, figure out which horses you should be focusing on right now, and you don't feel like you're drowning trying to race 100 horses at once. And a lot of them are just losing money for you if you're not paying attention to how the meta is shifting, right?
Yeah, and like that's part of the fun of the aging process is like there is a finite amount of utility you're going to get now. So there's no reason to force like unfavorable situations unless you just think like got to get it while I can. But like I think going alone is a good example where printed until 250, that next tier up, it just doesn't play as well. So why not wait for maybe like who knows what ZED will do? It might be a 251 to 500 bracket next, and you don't want to have wasted the bulk of that for suboptimal utility as long as you believe that the game's going to be around long enough for that to pop up.
2 years, man. 2 years.
2 years. I know. So if it lasts 2 years, there will be something like that. So, yeah, that's just more thought, as well as just, your time has value too. So pick and choose your battles.
Anyway, thanks for coming to Philosophy Talk with Kevin and Donkey. We'll see you again next week. We're going to do, should we do a live stream next week? I don't know. We'll let everybody know out on Twitter if we're going to do a live stream.
We'll have the zombie live stream, right? The zombie
Maiden. Yes, we'll do the zombie live stream. We are doing this live. I knew we were doing a live stream. So yes, go sign up for the Zombie Arbitrage Maiden #2, and stay tuned for more on the ZED Legends League. And keep fighting the good fight. Try to be constructive out there and kind to your fellow man on social media. Thanks for everything, Kevin. I will talk to you later. Oh, follow Kevin at Arbitrage Racing on Twitter. I'm at ZED Diamond Hands. Subscribe to the show. We really appreciate you guys. Talk to you next time.
See you.